received manually, and still some communities are following the traditional methods. You will ask the questions, what you are saying. I mean, who transport the receive information manually? So let me clarify on this point that our defense services still use the manual ways to transfer the key, and they are using the symmetric key algorithms for for the communication. Although there are some communities, they are following the traditional methods, but more than 95% of world, we can say, that is run on the digital foundation. And now we can call this as the information era. Information is on our fingertips, and uh, when we are considering the cryptography as a classified science, it is also revolutionized with time. Recent advancement in the computer tech, which have served as well as all of us entered into the smart world. I mean, everybody is talking about the smart world, and everybody is talking about smart cities and connected cars and all. And this is possible because of the newest field. Uh, I should not say it's a new field. The actually machine learning and AI have started. The research have started quite long back, but now it is in actual practice, and now our world is a data-driven world. Everything is online, and information is flowing on an untrusted medium. We have to think about the security, and then it is must that we have to think about the cryptography. So before starting about the cryptography and its fundamentals and some advancements and some of the recent research topics, I would first like to take you back into the history. As we know that the cryptography is not a recent science, and it was like very ancient science, and people were using this cryptic language. But when we cannot discuss, of course, all the history, but many historical events have changed the course due to this cryptography. The very important event, what touched my heart when I was going through the history of the cryptography, is the execution of Queen Mary of Scots, who was accused of plotting assassination of Queen Elizabeth. So Queen Elizabeth, it's in the 15th century's example, and we will see that how beautifully the cryptography has been used. And it's not only the cryptography, but how what we can say is the beautifully the role of crypt analysis played into this, and entire course of the history has changed. So on the morning of October 1586, Queen Mary was escorted by the guards in the crowd of Portingal Castle. Why she was? She was in the prison for so many years, and finally she was getting executed for plotting against the Queen England Queen Elizabeth. Actually, Queen Mary was Elizabeth's sister, and she was also Queen of Scots. It was not easy for Queen Elizabeth to give an order for the assassinations. But Queen Elizabeth has a very dynamic principal secretary of Sir Francis Walsingham. Sir Francis was knowing there is something going on between the Queen Mary and some of her Catholic supporters while she was in the prison, and there was Queen Mary's they connect for to the outside world was the Anthony Balbington, and there was some communication going on between the Anthony and Balbington. He was understanding, but he was telling Queen Elizabeth that there is a plot going on, But Queen Elizabeth was very hesitant to go for any order. Then Francis was not only the principal secretary, but he was very good spy. And then he decided to dig on to this entire plot, and then he trapped Gilbert, and he said that because Gilbert was a messenger between the Anthony Balbington and Queen's Mary of Scott, and he was transporting the messages or the letters between Anthony and the Queen's Mary. So he trapped him, and he said, like, look, I will, I know that there is something going on between the Catholic supporters and Queen Mary. So if you will be on our side, you will be, forgiven. Then, without knowing, Anthony Balbington and Queen Mary, he became a double messenger. So what he was doing, the messages were getting transported from Queen's Mary into barrel, or in some form of wrapped messages, and these messages he was giving to Sir Francis, and later those same messages he was giving to Anthony. Sir, let it be the previous slide. Anthony Balbington. Then son. These all messages were, we can say, double coated, that they were wrapped into barrels, and plus they were not into the, there were some nomenclature used in those letters. We will see in the next slide what are those nomenclatures. And Francis decided to hire a Thomas, who was the cryptanalyst, very famous cryptanalyst, and he was brought to England, and he was appointed as a professor in the university, just to avoid, the leak that there is an some kind of cryptanalysis of the letters is going on. So after a lot of efforts, and by using the different techniques, Thomas could able to decipher those messages, broke those messages, and then plot was open, and it was Sir Francis could able to present it in front of Elizabeth. And now we can see that on 8 February 1587, Queen's Mary was of Scott was executed. We can go to the next slide and see what is that plot nomenclature. You can see that C is denoted by one symbol, D is denoted by another symbol, for is there with some letter, So these kind of nomenclature, or the kind of a cryptographic form has been used by the Queen Mary. She was very smart. She was very smart. And just think that, if this letter would have been not deciphered by the Thomas, then the history would have been something really very different, and we could have seen many changes. But Queen Mary could have been, instead of Scott, she would have been the Queen of England, and Queen Elizabeth would have been executed. These ciphers were broken by the Thomas by using the frequency cryptanalysis. So before a few years, yes, definitely, the cipher classified ciphers were of some, a simplified version. We can say that they could able to break by using the frequency analysis. But nowadays we are using modern ciphers. We are using finite fields and number theory. And the breaking of the ciphers by using frequency analysis is now a dream. It's like we can't do it. We can go to the next slide and see that what is the different second example I wanted to discuss. So you must be knowing this. This is very famous Enigma machine, and this Enigma machine has played, it's like a very important role in World War I and World War II. Of course, in World War I, Enigma machine was used, but not extensively the way it was used in World War II. And in World War I, there was a war between the Poland and the Germans, and Germans were using this Enigma machine. And this machine you can say the architecture of this machine was disclosed to one Polish cryptanalyst, Marian, and he was trying to cryptanalysis his first time, but he failed. Then this machine actually had two forms. One is the commercially used form, and another one was the was used in the defense services or by the military. Of course, there was a, the war was called off, and then this Polish cryptanalyst stopped analyzing this machine, and then there was no further research has been done on this machine. During World War II, this same machine was not used. There was a complex modification has been done on this Enigma machine, and then later it was used, like definitely it was not open to the public. The commercial machines were different, and the machines those were used by the military people, they were very complex. Again, this we know that the Germans were doing extremely well in World War II, and they were not even having the hint that this machine's design has been compromised, and this was compromised by Hans, their own army official, and it was handed over to the British. As we all know, the Alan Turing, who is the greatest scientist and a cryptanalyst, was very good in mathematics, and he was brought to the government code and cipher school in Bletchley, and he started cryptanalyzing this machine. And then they could able to break this machine here, because when in World War II, when they were talking about deciphering the messages, the messages were getting changed, or the key was getting changed time to time. So instead of cracking the messages that time, it was best to crack the machine. That's what Alan Turing thought, and and we all know the rest history, that German lost the war, and the history has been completely changed. And I know that you might be known about this movie made on Alan Turing and this entire World War II and cryptanalysis of the Enigma machine was the Imitation Games, and it's very famous. So we can go to the next slide, and while discussing all these things of history and some evidences, some interesting, trends, you might have now got excited to know more about this cryptography, because it's very important to have interest into this subject, and then only you can do great inventions and great things in this subject. So I feel that you might have been started feeling interest, and you can read the book, the code book written by Simon Singh, which has covered many historical events about the cryptography, and how this 1M cipher and how it is breaking, and what are the different efforts, how the entire whole course of the history has been changed. You can read out into that book. So now, as we have seen some of these history events, we will move on to the fundamentals of cryptography. What exactly this cryptography, on what principle it is based, what are the different terminologies it used, why people are talking about cryptography too much nowadays. We will see that we will now entering into the smart words. We are talking about smart cities, connected cars, so many things, and everywhere the security is now a major concern, because we are seeing that there are a lot of attacks, that ransomware attacks, malware attacks, and somebody stealing our information is happening. And as far as my experience is concerned and my reading is concerned, it is happening because not because the cryptography is getting cracked. Many times it is because there is a flaw in application of cryptography. How, if you are applying cryptography the way it is advisable, then it's very rare chance that the messages are getting cracked, because we will see in further discussion when we will talk about advanced cryptographic techniques. So first, what is cryptography? So it is we can say it's a tool or it's a method where we are trying to protect our sensitive information, which we want to send it to the intended party. Well, I want to send a message to my friend. I don't want anybody to read it. So of course, I'll try to put some protection around it, and that's what the cryptography is meant for. So Karpov was a famous scientist, and he put some principle. These principles are, of course, not all the principles are useful, but some of them are still useful, and people are following them. So you can read from this slide that the system must be practical, because the systems that we're using were the electromagnetic hardware systems. But nowadays we are using algorithms, right? So what he said in the second principle, that it is not necessary or important that your system is secret, because what happened in this World War II was the design of the that Enigma machine was compromised, and that's why they could able to decipher the or the crack the machine or a machine, right? So what he suggested, that the algorithm or the machine should not be secret, but the very simple part that is called as the key should be secret, and key should be very handy, and it should not be very long, and we should not like, it is not necessary that we have to write it somewhere and remember it, because this writing part can be landed into enemy's hand, and then there are possibilities that our secrets can be revealed. Then he also talked about that these, it should be portable. It should not require that very skilled person has to handle this complete the machines. So nowadays we can see that the even many people, those who are not having the great technical knowledge or in-depth knowledge, they can handle the modern cryptographic algorithm. So these are some of the Kirchhoff's principles. You can move on to the next slide. So we will see a few terms, so that when I'm talking about the cryptography and other things, it will be very easy. I know you must have studied or read it somewhere. So, but just to refresh your knowledge, I thought like we will have just quick terminology, used in the cryptography. So one is the encryption. Of course, it's a method which converts the information into the secret code, and that true meaning of the information is hide. So we are not, so here what we are doing is, we are not hiding the information, we are changing the form of the information, so that it will become like what this rubbish thing is going on. So this is what the cryptography is. But if you will talk about the steganography, that is also used in Queen Mary's case. So she has used the concealing like into the barrel, and also the nomenclature or the different symbols. So steganography is art of concealing the information. We are not changing the form of information, but by using something like a text or the videos or audio, we are trying to cover it so that nobody will feel that there is some hidden information inside that. Although this technique is very old, and very few places people are using it, and nowadays people are moving towards the modern cryptographic techniques more. So plain text is, of course, like information that can be read by machine, or it's like what we want to convey to each other. Ciphertext is, of course, a scrambled form, non-intelligent form of the message. Key and key length is an important aspect of the cryptography. As Kirchhoff is also said that algorithm, we are not keeping it secret, even if it is known to many people or everybody. Key should be secret. So key is, there are various requirements for the keys. You are also getting, it's like a password. We are getting different guidelines how to use the password. So key is normally should be very random string of bits, and which is used to convert into non-intelligent form and the intelligent form. So it used for both uh, uh, encryption and for decryption. When I'm talking about the key and the key length, it's very important because key length should not be very short, key length should not be very long. Otherwise, there are chances it will take some time to decrypt the message, and length will be, so it is very complicated. So there are some guidelines given to the user how to, what should be the key length. You might have learned about AES or DES. There they have suggested that use 64-bit or use 128-bit or use 256-bit of keys. When we are talking about the key, there is important thing that the key should be random, and it's altogether a different branch where the researchers are working on randomizing to generate the random stream. So normally, whatever we are writing, we know that we think that it's a random, and you may say that it's random. But if you will pass it through the statistical testing, you will come to know it's not that random. I mean, whatever I have typed or whatever I thought it's random, it's not that random. And there are some sources, natural sources like tossing of a coin, and thermal emissions, where the generation of the string is random. But many a times, some sources those generate the pseudo random strings. The problem is pseudo random is not that it can be broken. So as I stated, the randomization or generation of the random string is a different science altogether, and it's a different branch. Many researchers are working on this. And currently, you might have heard about is the quantum key generation is one of the very popular areas where people are working on generation of the random key by using the quantums. Encryption algorithm is again a mathematical or the process or the algorithm to perform and generate the encryption data. Very important thing, as we have discussed in the historical event, was the cryptanalysis. I was continuously talking about that. If this would have not been cryptanalyzed, then history would have been different. So actual term or the umbrella is cryptology, which comprises cryptography, that is the hiding or the transforming the messages into the non-intelligent form. And cryptanalysis is the another very important branch, and you can say that actually cryptographers and cryptanalysts are enemies, because cryptanalysts are trying to break the system, and they are trying to find out the flaws in the system. Let me clarify here, cryptanalysts are not hackers. We know all about hackers, that there are white hat hackers, gray hat hackers, and black hat hackers, and their motives and intentions are different. Here, cryptanalysts are, we will not go into the cyber security terms, but I would just like to say, because people normally get confused, that cryptanalysts and hackers are same. So let me clarify here, they are totally different. Cryptanalysts are those who analyze the algorithm, try to find out the mathematical structure, try to see what are the different flaws, and show the cryptographer that, see, look, these are the flaws, and you have to make your system strong, otherwise anybody can break it. So this both comprises, like cryptography and cryptanalyze together is the cryptology. So we will move on to the next slide. So what are the, we have seen some classical things and some terminologies, but what are the different goals of this modern cryptography? And there are few goals I have, like 4 goals I have noted out here, and you must be all knowing, and knowingly, unknowingly we are using it. So confidentiality is like, we wanted to protect our information from the unauthorized people, unauthorized access on the internet. So we wanted to achieve the confidentiality by cryptography. Availability is something that like the information should be available to the to the party I want to send. I mean, just imagine what I always think, like, I found, heap of gold, and I decided that this should be for my, uh, grandsons and grandsons, and I decided to put it down into the tree, dig and all, put all the coins inside that, and then I hid it, and I didn't give any information about these coins to anybody. Then it's as good as it is not available. The same thing is happening if your data is not, it is of no use, right? So cryptography's main goal is to make it available to the trusted party. When the third goal is integrity, when we are talking about like transferring information over the untrusted medium, information may get changed. Yes, it will definitely. People will try, hacker will try that they will change the information, and we will receive something else which can lead us to the wrong things. So integrity is a very important part in case of cryptography, and it is trying to achieve that goal. Uh, Another goal is non-repudiation, which is possible in case of cryptography. Means, I'm placing an order to an shop, like merchant, and saying, like, I want to buy this, and that merchant decided to manufacture something, and then I'm denying this. I have not placed this order, so it is of a loss, right, for that merchant. And same thing can happen in either case. So non-repudiation achieve this goal of, that yes, you have placed an order, or you have confirmed these transactions and all. Another goal which I think it's very important for the cryptography in recent days is the authentication. Like, who is that person, or who is that system? So it is very important to know whether the communication has been established between the right person or not, or a right system or not. So that is another goal of modern cryptography. We can move to the next slide. Okay, so growth of the cryptography is, I've purposely, started with the World War II, because it has a long ancient history, and it's almost about a day I'll talk about this history. So I'll put it down to the major topics that, how the cryptography growth had happened. And we all know World War II is the Enigma machine, which was the electromagnet mechanical machine. Then the NIST, the National Institute of Science and Technology, before it was NSA, and they have asked Mr. Fiestel, or Professor Fiestel, to build an algorithm which he has come up with the data encryption standard in 1976, which was the first symmetric key algorithm. And the key size, what Fester was decided, was 64 bits. But NIST has their own standards and own thinking about the entire thing. So they decided to cut it down to 56. Reason is still unknown, but yeah. Then in 1976, Davey Hellman was working with one of his students, and they have invented public key cryptography. And that time itself, they have proposed the digital signature. Later, by Ron Rivest and Martin and Shamir, has come up with the RSA algorithm in 1976, and digital certificate was also invented in 1978. Then RSA was Ron is like a very famous cryptographer who was working on stream ciphers, and he invented RC4 in 1987. And also 1991, the MD hash was invented. So later it was, slowly there was a growth, and people started reading about the complexity, because when we are talking about the cryptography and cryptographic algorithms, their output, we have to think about complexity subject. And people started more working towards complexity, and they have then come up with the quantum cryptography and post-quantum cryptography, and now research is towards that, because quantum machines are there, and Professor Shore, who is again a very renowned professor, has actually broken the RSA scheme. And he showed that it is possible that we can any length of the keys RSA can be broken. So then the community, entire community, security community got scared, and then they decided to move on to the quantum cryptography. Of course, the research is going on still long, and there are a lot of well-known professors even in India. They are working in quantum cryptography and post-quantum cryptography. And recently, you must have heard about ISRO with the quantum communication by Professor Urvashi. Sinha by Raman Research Institute. So research is happening in India, and it's really happening way. I mean, people are taking a lot of effort, and trying to put their foot in the field of cryptography on the world's map. So we can move on to the next slide. Okay, so as I was using some terms like symmetric key and public key cryptography was invented by Ra. So what exactly is this? So I'll give very shortly. Many of you must have been known about this, but those who have not, I'll just shortly talk about it. So symmetric key cryptography is where we have the cryptographic or the encryption algorithm, and we are using only one key. So this key will be available both to the receiver and the sender party, right? And we will log the data, and we will unlock the data by using the same. So this is what the symmetric key cryptography simple function is. Famous symmetric key cryptography encryption functions are DES, as I have already stated, by Pestel, right? Double DES, triple DES, and there was in competition, because there was continuous attacks on the DES. People like once the any cryptographic algorithm is announced publicly, all the people across the world in the cryptography community, they try to see that how we can break this algorithm, and how we can find out different flaws from this algorithm. And there were continuous attacks on this, and the DES was broken by different cryptographers on a different ways. So NIST decided to launch an competition where more than 20 people have scientists have participated, and advanced encryption standard, that is AES, was the finalist. The name was something different based on resumes, the cryptographer, but later then NIST decided to name it as an advanced encryption standard. It has a different, and I must say that it's a very strong algorithm. People are trying, they are trying on continuously breaking this algorithm by different means, and there is not yet a clear clear break to this algorithm. Yes, of course, they achieve to certain level, but there is not yet the clear cut break to AES. Again, IDEA is another cipher encryption algorithm, but which is not open source. Then when we are talking about asymmetric key encryption, there are some problems. Like major problem in case of symmetric key algorithm is how we can transport this key. As I have stated that at the beginning, there are some communities, you remember, those who are still using the traditional methods, and defense are one of them, that they are still transferring the keys manually. It's a major thing, and key distribution is a major problem. So Davey Hellman, who worked with his PhD student, had come up with a asymmetric key, public key cryptography scheme. And here what is happening is there are two keys instead of one, and one is public key, one is private key. Fine. So if I want to, if somebody wants to send message to me, anybody on this earth can log that message by using my public key, and only I can, who is the intended receiver, can decrypt that message. So this entire thing is based on the number theory, abstract mathematics, and it's really a fun. If you'll read the mathematics, the number theory, that again, it's not something, the recent mathematics that people are thinking. It's Fermat is the greatest scientist who was working on this, and he stated few of the theorems. The funny part I would like to say is Fermat has has written a lot of theorems in number theory, but none of them he has given the proof. And then it's a it's a mathematical community that started investigating the different, how are they because these are very famous rules or theorems by the Fermats, and people are using them, people were using them. So uh, the community started finding out the proof for this theorem. And Fermat last theorem, I remember there was a famous scientist by the Princeton University had took 7 years to prove Fermat last theorem. So he was continuously working on that, published a lot of paper, arranged a lot of conferences, but they were continuous inputs he was getting, and that this part is left out, that part is left out, but he and finally he could able to present the proof after 7 years. So Fermat is a very ancient scientist, and and this entire public key encryption is based on the number theory. So a famous RS algorithm everybody knows, and it ruled our digital world almost for 30 years. So I've written paper also because I was very excited knowing about, like, nobody can break RSA for 30 years. I mean, it's really, this scheme was foolproof, and then Shor has come up with this algorithm, Shor's algorithm, famous algorithm, and he broke this system. So, and now people are going towards the quantum. So ECC is also elliptical curve cryptography, is again a well-known field, and people are working on that. Still, Elgamal is again the another scheme of symmetric key encryption. In case of the hash function, it's normally used for the integrity of the messages, and like a message of any size will go into the compress function, and it will become of a fixed size message which was encrypted, and then it is transmitted along with the message, and then it can only by using some functionalities we can check whether the message is not altered or a change. So MD5, SHA are a few of the examples of hash functions. We can move on to the next slide. So what are the different applications of the cryptography? So important application is, as we know, and since decades or ancient histories, we have seen that it was normally used by the defense services and to keep the kings and queens secrets intact. Nowadays, it is used by e-commerce, internet banking, digital money, biometric, digital signature, cryptocurrency. Everybody knows that, bitcoins and all, blockchain, e-voting, secrecy in storage. Then we are now talking a lot about WhatsApp, privacy, end-to-end encryption. You must be heard about, and so social media. Many places now cryptography is used, even for the legal processes. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so I'm entering into the now advanced field, and I'll not take much of your time because IoT and IoT about IoT. I just wanted to give a touch why I wanted to enter into this. My intention is not to discuss about IoT or IoT how it works. My intention is like whether we can use cryptography in IoT or not. So first we will see the IoT architecture. What exactly the IoT is? We all know it's a network of separate but uniquely identified devices that have a ability to talk to each other. Sometimes with the help of human, or sometimes without human interaction. So there are mainly 4 stages. First one is the sensor, like connector devices. Normally those are sensors and the actuators, where the sensors grab the information, and then it convert the information into the data set and process it for the further analysis. Then it has been the second stage is the process of the information collected from the previous stage and compressed into the optimal size. So we ultimately what we are doing is we are trying to see that whatever we are sensing or we are accepting from these sensors, can we convert into the action? It is sometimes happen that automatically there is action taken by the you can say the devices, but sometimes we need human interventions, right? So some sensitive areas where we don't want the automatic action to be taken, and then we wanted to analyze it more, and then we sometimes do it on a edge IT, or sometimes we take this data to the like on the fourth stage we take this data to the data centers by using the high skill humans, and we process the data, we analyze the data, and then we take the action. So this is what the simple IoT architecture, and we know that, or I would like to say, when I have talking about one of the professors, you might be heard about Professor Merchant, about cognitive radio, and the security of the cognitive radio and all. So even about the white spaces and all. So normally, whenever the scientists they work on some of the systems, they see whether the systems can work properly or not. It's like an overview, like IoT structure. Take the example of IoT structure. So they have implemented sensors. Some of the devices has been connected, then edge devices. Then they are collecting the information, then analyzing the information, then they are storing the information. So many things they are doing. Then later they have realized that, oh, this has to be protected. I mean, then we have to think about that. And now the second phase of their development normally comes with the security. The same thing is happening in the IoT, and we will see in the statistics. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so before going for the statistics of this vulnerabilities and all, we will see what are the different applications of IoT that you want: wearables, smart homes, healthcare, smart city, agriculture, automation. I mean, these are few. There are many. I mean, more than I must know that you are knowing them, like connected cars and autonomous cars. These are the terms that are more nowadays in the picture. So we can move on to the next slide. So these are some statistics about how big the IoT is growing. How to make our system to make our world smart, or we are deploying a lot of IoT devices, and by 2018 there were 7 IoT devices. By 2019 there were like 26.66 billion IoT devices. Every second 127 IoT devices are getting connected to the web. So you can imagine like how fast the world is growing, and how many devices are getting connected to the untrusted medium. So by 2025, more than 75 billion IoT devices will be connected to the web. So this is what the estimation about IoT devices. And we can say that when we are talking about IoT, infrastructure and all, many times our personal information is getting shared, or most of the time our personal information is getting shared. So we can move on to the next slide and see what are the vulnerabilities. So very important thing is, like what IoT devices they are using. They are using the weak and guessable password, or secure network service, insecure ecosystem, lack of secure update mechanism, and so many. You can read them out. And 90% of all IoT traffic is unencrypted. So people are deploying the devices, but they are they wanted to achieve healthcare industry, or in autonomous car industry, or in industry automation. They are deploying IoT devices, and they are unknowingly giving away the information. So even we are wearing the smart band, we are giving all our information onto the net. Is it encrypted? Are we thinking about it? What extreme can happen? Just a moment, I'll have a water. So then uh, there were so many attacks even on the IoT devices. We can move on to the next slide. Right. Why I was discussing about IoT and IoT thing is I wanted to bring your attention to the lightweight cryptography area. So as we know that IoT or some constrained devices, there are certain constraints like power, memory, computational power, size, even price, and then when we are talking about the standard AES or standard encryption algorithm, will they able to fit into that device? That is one important. Of course not, because they are meant for the servers or the desktops. So it is very difficult for use them into the IoT devices, because IoT devices many of you must be using. So scientists thought over it, and then they had come up with the branch called as lightweight cryptography. So name itself is the cryptographic solution for the constrained devices, that is lightweight devices. And NIST has started this process. There are several lightweight cryptographic algorithm available. Uh, as I stated, that when we are talking about the cryptographic algorithms, and once they are open into the platform, people start attacking them, and they say like to find out the vulnerabilities into that, and weaknesses in the algorithm. That is what the cryptanalysis job is. So NIST launched the similar competition like what they had did for the AES. They had launched the lightweight cryptographic challenge, I think 2-3 years back. They are into now second stage of finalizing the ciphers, and I must say that scientists from our India are participating into that, like Mrudul Nandi from ISI Kolkata. Mostly, you must be aware of Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, which is very famous for cryptography, and Avik from the post-doctoral student, then Nilanjan Datta. These are the scientists. They have submitted their entries, and they could able to get through, and they have reached to the second stage, and we have our footprints into the world map. So NIST has launched this process. Let's see, they will come up with their own solutions, and they will give us some standard lightweight cryptographic algorithm. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so what are the different requirements for the lightweight cryptography? I have already said that these are resource constrained devices we are looking for, and generally they have low power, computational power, smaller memory size, smaller lower power consumption, small in physical size, and also price should be very small. So these are the requirement for the lightweight cryptography. We can move on to the next slide. Some examples that I have already said, that people have developed some algorithm, that is present, ghost, then stream cipher, grain, trivium, then bean, hummingbird, then hash function like photon and quark. So people have worked on lightweight cryptography, and they have some algorithm. There are my own thesis was on breaking of the trivium, and we could actually break the trivium. So and the realistic time. So now this trivium, once it is broken, it's of no use. So they have to either improve the complexity of that particular algorithm, or they have to discard it. So normally it happens that people try to see if we can increase the complexity of the algorithm. They will keep it, otherwise they discard it and start from the from the scratch. They will come up with a new algorithm. We can move on to the next slide. So these are something about the cryptography. So you can think about lightweight cryptography and your career in lightweight cryptography, and you definitely can do. Few years back, I have come across one conference where Director General from NIST was participating, and he was talking about generation of the cryptographic algorithm, or development, or designing of the cryptographic algorithm. Uh, Normally, the block cipher, or any cipher, when scientists start designing, it takes complete process takes 10 years. It's not something that you can finish it in 1 or 2 days, or 1 or 2 months, or 1 or 2 years, and you have the cryptographic algorithm. No, step is like first 2 to 3 years they take to develop one model of cryptographic algorithm. Then next they test it by their own or internal team, another for 2 3 years. And then once it is tested internally that there are no flaws, it goes public. And then there are like different people, they attack on this and see whether it is really strong or not. So it takes another 4 or 5 years, and then after all this extensive process, this cipher is the cryptographic algorithm is ready to use. So this is very cipher design is very long drawn process. And normally when the cipher is designed, cryptanalysis, because many of the ciphers can't be broken by using a normal machine. We need supercomputers and high performing machines. We need time, we need experts, so it's very costly and time consuming process. But as we are moving on to the digital and the smart world, we need different ciphers, because there are the cryptanalysts sitting all over world, and they are trying to break this cipher, and they are trying to see the vulnerabilities. So how we can address all this? We can move on to the next slide. So we have actually, this is what I'm discussing currently is part of my PhD thesis. So we thought of all these issues, and then we have come up with something called as embedding of algorithm, the to create the variation in already existing cipher. So like because like existing cipher is already tested, and already all cryptanalysts have tried their luck on it. And if I am enhancing the security of known algorithm, it will be more secure, right? So my time will be less if I'm going for a small change into that. And then I can design a family of out of it. Like from one cipher I can design 10 different things. How, that I'll tell you in the next slide. So before going to that, we will see the condition that the cipher what we are using for embedding. No, like what I'm talking about embedding all the time. I'll explain you that. But first we'll see the condition. It should be the cipher which we are using should be protected against ciphertext attack. But when we will embed it, it should be protected against the known plain text attack. So and it should pass the evaluation test, and it should have retained the minimal efficiency of the original type. So I'll explain this slide very simply, right? There are different attacks, basic attack on the ciphers. First is the ciphertext only attack. Another one is the known plain text attack, known ciphertext attack, and I am not sure. Yeah, these are four. So in case of known, ciphertext only attack, we have the only ciphertext available. We don't have any other information about the cipher, or nothing more than that, and algorithm. So it is very difficult in case of the modern cryptographic algorithms. It is almost impossible, we can say that. So normally what people do when the scientists they try to cryptanalyze, they consider either the known plain text or the known ciphertext attack. That some of the key bits of the plain text and the ciphertext pair is available in both the cases, and we are trying to decipher it, and we have trying to break it. So this is quite simple than the ciphertext only attack. So we are trying to see that whatever cipher we are going to develop after embedding should be capable of withstand, even though there are some known plain text ciphertext pairs are available for the breaking the cipher. When we are developing a cipher, we are generating a random string. So that is non-intelligent form, as we know. So how we will evaluate whether my whatever I'm generating is random or not, it should be known. So what I'm doing is I'm using NIST test suite or the die-harder test to evaluate this output of the cipher. So it should pass that. These are the standard tests, NIST test suite and die-hard are other standard tests which are used for evaluating the cipher strength. And efficiency should be minimal. If the efficiency is less, then the entire you can say that a structure is failed. So we will move on to the next slide. So this is simple of the embedding. What I'm doing is, I think I'm running out of the time. Professor More?
Yeah, ma'am.
Sorry, I extended it a bit.
Okay, no,
But
no
if you,
problem, no problem. You can, you
so
can.
if you want, I'll continue. Otherwise, I'll stop here.
No, ma'am, you can continue.
Okay, I'll just finish it in a quick, like not take more than 5 minutes. So here we can say that a block cipher algorithm, simple. I have not used any great mathematics here. Simple structure. That is, C is the ciphertext, E is the encryption algorithm, K is the key, and T is the plaintext. Right. So I will be adding extra parameter, that is K0, with some functionality F1 and F2, and I'll use the same encryption algorithm. I'm not going to do anything. I'll just add the extra key with some function, and I'll generate the ciphertext, which is different than the original cipher. You can say you can see it into this, it's a C tilde, and above is the C. Definitely, if I'm using one function, it is like adding extra round to it, and then my ciphertext will definitely change. We will go on to the next slide. What we did is, this proposed algorithm is applicable to any. I mean, you can pick any cipher uh, and then apply this method. Like, take extra key functions F1 and F2. What are those functions? I'll tell you. You can, you can choose your own functions from the mathematics, and then you can have your own functions and you can do it. But this is simple mathematics, right? Here, what we did is we have taken AES, which is the strongest algorithm, and 128, and then we used it into the CTR mode. There are different modes of the cipher or AES, how to run it, like OBC mode, CBC mode, OFC mode, and this is CTR mode, which is very commonly used for the scientific purposes. And we have two types of the embedding C. So embedding is like adding something extra with some function. Now you're embedding clear? I hope so. So here what we will do is we will have this extra key from outside, or what we will do is we will generate it from the key that we have, right? So now we have encryption algorithm, embedding, the key that is which is required, and the functions. We will go to the next slide. Right. So here we can say that how we are going to do is, like, maybe in the leftmost down, we can see this in the image that it is original algorithm, and then up you can see that is the embedded, that one function is, or one route is embedded, and then here you can see the rightmost upper corner image, that the extra key has been given to the plain text and the key, original key. And here in the down, like for last figure, here key is given to plain text and the key which is drawn from the original key. So these are different ways we can embed our algorithm, and we can generate the different ciphertext. We can move on to the next slide. So as I mentioned here, we will be using different functions, F1, F2, F3, F4, whatever you like, right? So what are these functions? These functions can be conjugate, this can be right shift, this can be left shift, this can be mirror effect, this can be 64-bit of indices. We can choose like one, third, fifth, ninth, whatever, and then create our own keys. So these are few examples I have stated, but you can have your own functions, and you can try to embed the use this function into the embedding algorithm. We can move on to the next. Right. So once we have now designed this, we have chose one function like conjugate, first function. Then I have generated the output stream, output function, output stream by using AES and this embedding function. and I pass this entire file. And as I've already stated, I'm going to use the CTR mode, right? So I've generated a bulk file, I've passed it to the dieharder test and check whether really, this is giving me results, or it is, something which is of no use. So you can see in the clearly in the test that it passed with no modification, that the test pass is less. But when I'm applying some conjugate function, right shift, left shift, reflection, then it is, actually giving good results. I mean, more tests are getting passed and my cipher is getting more stronger, and very less, the tests are failed. And in case of the reflection, there is a maximum, you can say that the test has been passed in the diehard test. We can move on to the next. Okay, so I would like to thank you for listening this patiently, and I'm so sorry that I've extended your 10-15 minutes. So thank you so much for this opportunity, and we can move on to some question answers if you have.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ekta, ma'am, over to you.
Yes, ma'am. There is a one question from the student that can we send secret information without using any cryptography tool?
No. I mean, there we can. You can hide, as I said, like, by using the steganography, you can hide the information. But or personally, if you are reaching out to that person and give the secret information, you can do it. But when we are sending it over the untrusted channel, that is communication channel, we have to use some protection, because we don't know who is watching our information, right? So you can transmit information if nobody is watching, it's well and good, but why to take risk always?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
What's the difference between cryptography?
And cybersecurity.
Sorry?
What is the difference between cryptographic and cybersecurity?
Oh, okay. Cybersecurity is a bigger field, it's like mostly consists of network and networking part of this. But cryptography is a mathematical field or mathematical science, you can say, which work for generating the different encryption algorithms for protecting the data, specifically the data or the device.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think so, ma'am, there are no further questions from the students.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am, for such a fruitful session. And on behalf of Department of Information Technology, I extend really a hearty vote of thanks to our speaker, Dr. Shravani Shahapure, ma'am. It's a precious time from her. I'm sure that this webinar is definitely going to add the value in our day-to-day life. Thank you so much. I would like to thank actually Dr. S.R. Sudhar sir. Because of his consistent support, we could successfully conduct this webinar session. Further, I also would like to thank to the coordinator, Professor Sapna Bharve ma'am and Professor S.B. More sir. Next, I would like to thank Professor Dr. S.N. Jadhav sir for his valuable guidance to conduct this webinar session successfully. I'm also very thankful to DBAR2 alumni for conducting the sessions. Last but not the least, I'm very thankful to all the faculty members, students for participating in this webinar session. And soon we'll let you know the third session of this webinar series. Till then, stay safe, take care. Thank you.
Thank you
Ma'am,
so much.
yeah, ma'am, can we? Okay, no problem, because there are two questions. So can we take?
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. Can you read, ma'am? Ekta, ma'am. If
Yes, sir. You can you can continue, sir. Just a minute.
yes. Can we take some? Can we take, ma'am?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, there is one question. Is there any research on lightweight cryptography using machine learning?
Machine learning.
Yeah.
Yes. I would like to say that actually, there was a paper written by Ron Revish very long back in 1987, where he have shown the link or the connection between the cryptanalysis and the machine learning. There is recently a group which is in Singapore. They are working on cryptanalyzing, things by using machine learning. So definitely there is a chance if you can, search on the cryptographic task force by National Institute of Singapore. You will find that there are some professors those are working in the cryptanalysis and the machine learning.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Ma'am, one more question is there. What is polyalphabetic encryption?
Okay, so I must say that whoever has asked this question must be knowing about the cryptography. Polyalphabetic, that is now there is no example I have. Let me think about it. Mm. Uh, So, when we are talking about the cryptographic initial phase, so there are substitution and the transpositions. So when there are multiple substitution methods has been used, it's called as the polyalphabetic, encryption. But I'm really happy that people are knowing this field and they're asking such questions. It's really impressive.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because
Yes.
this field is really very niche, and very less number of people are taking interest into this. And I'm happy that Bar2 students are taking interest. It's really great.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Ekta ma'am.
Yes, sir. Continue. Are there any questions? I think so. All the questions are being asked by the ma'am.
Okay, shall we this finish? Yes, Ekta
Yes.
ma'am. Once again. Yeah.
Just a minute. Yes, just a minute, sir. Let me check once. Just a minute. Ma'am, question is uh, what is the relation between what is the relation between cryptography and blockchain technology?
Ooh, I'm so sorry. I am not the right person to whom you should ask this question
Okay.
because I'm
Okay.
not into blockchain technology. But I know that many people say that that I should read about blockchain. But yes, cryptographic functions are used in the blockchain. That is sure. To block the mostly the hash function has been used to create the next chain.
Okay.
And there is a loop or something, so I'm not sure, but I'm so sorry about it.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. We have taken all the questions over. Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
Maurice.
much. Thank you,
Okay.
students. Thank you, faculty, and thank you, Morisa. Thank you, Ekta ma'am, for
Yes,
this
ma'am.
opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.